Okay, I want you to try a little mental experiment with me.
All right, I'm ready.
Imagine the catchiest, sweetest pop song you've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something super sugary, polished, absolute ear candy.
Okay, yeah, like early Britney Spears or something. I've got it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's stuck in your head, perfect and pristine.
Yep.
Now imagine taking that song and just shoving it into a paper shredder, but you don't turn it off. You keep it playing while the machine is tearing it to shreds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And suddenly the track is skipping. The tempo is going haywire. It's speeding up, slowing down, stuttering all over the place.
Yeah.
The vocals, they don't sound human anymore. They sound like a computer having a full-blown panic attack.
And the bass, I'm guessing, is just blown out.
The bass feels like your speakers are literally tearing open.
It sounds like a headache.
Yeah.
Or, a corrupted file.
To most people, yeah, it sounds like an error, a total mistake.
Yeah.
But for a massive and growing subculture online, that sound, that isn't a mistake. It's the aesthetic.
Right.
Today, we are looking at the chaotic, fascinating, and, well, broken world of glitchcore and hyper-glitch.
This is one of those topics where if you haven't spent time on the weirder corners of SoundCloud or TikTok, you might be totally baffled. But the research we have suggests this is so much more than just noise.
It's a whole movement.
It's a musical movement built entirely around breakage, fragments, and sensory overload.
We've got a great stack of articles and breakdowns here, and our mission today is pretty specific. We need to figure out how digital failure, glitches, skips, crashes, how that became a defining pop aesthetic of the 2020s.
And why music that sounds broken feels so right to a whole generation of listeners.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? Is this just chaos for chaos's sake? Or is this sound actually mirroring the way the internet feels to live inside right now?
That's the thread we need to pull on.
So we've got a roadmap that'll take us from the experimental art of the 90s through the plastic pop of London, all the way to our AI-driven future. But we have to start with the sound itself.
Right.
When we say glitchcore, what are we actually hearing?
At its simplest level, these are movements within internet-native electronic music that really exploded in the late 2010s. The core philosophy is just breakage.
Breakage. So you're hearing clicks, digital artifacts, aggressive distortion.
And song structures that change direction so fast it gives you whiplash.
Yeah. One of the sources described it as a balance between excess and collapse, which I think is beautiful.
That's a great way to put it. It's like the song is trying so hard to hold on to a melody, but the digital file itself is just disintegrating around it.
And while this feels so incredibly modern, very Gen Z, very extremely online, the whole idea of using a glitch as an instrument isn't actually new.
Not at all. The roots are much deeper.
Let's unpack that history, because I think a lot of people just assume this started with like 100 gecs or on TikTok.
Much, much deeper. If we trace the genealogy of this sound, we have to go back to the late 1990s. There was this specific niche of electronica, often called glitch or clicks and cuts.
And who were the artists?
We're talking about artists like Oval, Alva Noto, and Ryoji Ikeda.
Were they doing the same thing? Screaming vocals and blown out bass?
No, not at all. It was the complete opposite. Very minimal, very serious. They were pioneering what was called the aesthetics of failure.
The aesthetics of failure.
Oval, for instance, he's probably the most famous example. He would literally take a physical CD, draw on it with a marker, scratch it with a knife, and then play it.
So he was intentionally ruining the disc just to see what sounds the CD player would make when it failed.
Exactly. He was harvesting the errors, the skipping, the stuttering. That became the rhythm. The philosophy was that the error revealed the medium. In the 90s, digital music was trying to be perfect, To hide that, it was just zeros and ones. These artists wanted to expose the machinery. They wanted you to hear the data failing to be read.
So in the 90s, if your CD skipped, you'd be annoyed. These guys were recording it and calling it art.
It was sound art, really. It belonged in a gallery or a lecture hall. It was all about texture and abstract space. But here's the critical difference.
What's that?
The 90s glitch was intellectual, it was cold, experimental. Modern glitchcore is tied to mass market pop.
That's the twist. It's not just abstract noise anymore.
No.
It's taking those skipping CD sounds and welding them to a Katy Perry-style hook.
It's the collision of the avant-garde glitch with the hyper-commercial world of internet culture. And it prioritizes rhythm. It's catchy. You can, in theory, dance to it.
Assuming you can keep up.
Right, assuming you can keep up with the tempo changes.
I want to talk about where that shift happened, because you don't go from abstract German sound art to hyperpop overnight. The sources talk a lot about the soil this grew out of.
The ecosystem, yeah. This music wasn't born in big studios in LA. It was born in bedrooms. It's the product of an ecosystem of Bandcamp, Discord, SoundCloud, and eventually TikTok.
And high-speed internet. That feels like the silent partner in all of this.
That is the crucial ingredient. I mean, think about how the listener has changed. Smartphone culture has created a brain that is completely accustomed to fragments.
We just scroll past hundreds of images a minute, 15-second videos.
Exactly. We are constantly dealing with excess and velocity.
It's the doom scroll set to music.
In a way, yes. If your brain is processing 1,000 tweets an hour, a slow 4-minute acoustic song might not even register. It feels too slow. You need music that matches that cognitive speed.
So the environment created the demand for the sound. But who actually built the bridge? There's a missing link there. And the sources all point very heavily to a label called PC Music.
You absolutely cannot tell this story without PC Music. They're a London-based label, started around 2013, led by A.G. Cook. They, along with the artist Sophie, basically invented the blueprint for what we now call hyperpop.
Okay, so hyperpop is a term that gets thrown around a lot, often with glitchcore. Is there a difference?
It's a spectrum. I'd say hyperpop is the umbrella. It's pop music just exaggerated to the absolute extreme. PC Music took all the pop tropes, high-pitched vocals, shiny synths, and pushed them until they sounded artificial.
They wanted the music to sound like plastic.
Plastic is a weird word for sound, but when you listen to Sophie, it makes perfect sense.
It really does.
Sophie, who is mentioned in every single source we have as a foundational figure, was obsessed with the materiality of sound. Sophie's synths didn't sound like instruments. They sounded like latex or metal or bubbles popping.
They were sharp and hard and violent sometimes.
Incredibly violent. Sophie established this core idea that you could have a harsh, metallic, industrial noise and then drop immediately into the sweetest bubblegum melody.
It's that contrast again. It's like eating candy while walking through a demolition zone.
And that jarring contrast is the DNA of glitchcore. PC Music proved that synthetic didn't have to mean bad. They embraced the fake, and that gave permission for the next generation to take it even further.
So let's get into the mechanics of that further. How do you actually make this stuff? Because it sounds like pure technical chaos.
Yeah, but there's a method.
It is absolutely controlled chaos. And to a traditional audio engineer, it breaks every single rule in the book. Let's start with the tempo, the BPM.
In normal pop, you pick a speed, say 120 beats per minute, and you just stay there. It's the heartbeat of the song.
That's right. In glitchcore, the BPM is fluid. The sources mention tracks swinging anywhere from 100 to 180 BPM in a single song. And it's not a gradual ramp up.
No, it's instant.
Bam. You'll be listening to a trap beat, and then mid-measure, it cuts to a thrash metal section at double the speed.
It's like someone hit skip on a playlist, but it's all happening inside one file.
It totally mirrors that context switching we do online. Switching tabs, switching apps. The music never lets you settle.
And what about the voices? You almost never hear a raw human voice. No, the human element is usually the first thing to go. The aesthetic prefers these digitally distorted, unnaturally fast vocals. So you have extreme auto-tune, obviously, but also something called formant shifting.
Right. I saw that term. Break that down for us. What is a formant?
So without getting too deep in the physics, pitch is how high or low a note is. Formant is the character of the sound, which is determined by the size of your throat and mouth.
Okay.
Usually if you pitch a voice up, the formants go up. You sound like a chipmunk because it sounds like you have a tiny throat.
The classic Alvin and the Chipmunks effect, yeah.
But with digital processing, you can separate them. You can have a low voice with tiny formants or a high voice with deep formants. It creates these like demon-like or alien textures. It sounds distinctly wrong to the human ear.
And that wrongness is the goal.
100%. They want to sound digital. They aren't trying to capture a performance. They're creating an avatar.
Then there's the volume. I've noticed with some of these tracks, if I have my headphones up, it physically hurts. It sounds like the audio is literally breaking.
That's the aesthetics of overload. In traditional mixing, you avoid clipping.
Right.
Clipping is when the volume is too loud for the system, so the tops of the sound waves get chopped off. It creates this harsh, buzzy distortion.
Audio Engineer 101. Red light means bad. Don't clip the master.
Glitchcore says, clip everything. They use bit crushers, which make it sound like an old Game Boy, and hard clippers to create a screen-bursting experience. They want the audio to feel like it's struggling to contain itself.
It's so aggressive, but, and this is the thing that trips me up, underneath all the noise and the chipmunk vocals, the melodies are so catchy.
That is the secret sauce. If it was just the noise, it would be noise music. But because they use the pop vessel, these catchy hooks, simple chords, it anchors you. The melody carries you through the overload.
So who are the people making this work? We can't do this deep dive without talking about 100 Jecks.
Absolutely not. Laura Luss and Dylan Brady, they are the center of gravity for this whole movement.
Their 2019 album, 1000 Jecks, felt like a watershed moment. I remember hearing Money Machine and thinking, is this a joke? Or is this the best thing I've ever heard?
That was the universal reaction, and that ambiguity is the whole point. Their style is this frenzied blender of emo, ska, metal, trap, and bubblegum pop.
Ska and trap. I mean, on paper, no thank you.
But they make it work through sheer production force, and they incorporate meme culture directly into the sound. It's funny, it's loud, it's obnoxious, but the songwriting is undeniably tight.
And their solo careers highlight different sides of this, right?
Yeah. Dylan Brady is the architect of the distortion. His solo stuff is super bass-heavy, trap-leaning, lots of aggressive clipping. Laura Luss, on the other hand, she really pioneered that high-pitched nightcore vocal style. She brings that emotional intensity.
That emotional side is really interesting because when you look past 100 Jecks, there's a whole scene that grew out of SoundCloud artists like Osquin, Glaves, Erica Doa.
Right.
And the sources point out this fascinating contradiction with them.
The sad lyrics, loud drums contradiction.
Yeah. The music is so aggressive, abrasive, party speed. But the lyrics, they're often incredibly vulnerable. They're singing about isolation, dysphoria, loneliness.
It connects right back to where this music lives. These are kids growing up on Discord and SoundCloud. These are spaces where young people find community, but also experience this intense isolation. The distortion isn't just a cool effect, it's a metaphor.
So the glitch is how they feel.
Exactly. It's destruction as self-expression. When you feel glitched or disconnected from reality, a clean, polished pop song might feel fake. It might feel like a lie. A song that sounds like it's falling apart, that feels honest.
That makes so much sense. It's validation through noise.
Yeah.
And the visuals match that energy perfectly.
Oh, completely. The visual aesthetic is just as loud. Saturated neon, anime avatars, deep-fried memes, low-res graphics. It's a whole world of digital overload.
Which brings us to the why now question. We've touched on the tools, but let's dig into the generational mindset. The research talks about Gen Z time perception.
This is a crucial concept. We are looking at the first true internet native generation. They don't just consume content, they consume it in parallel. They're handling multiple tabs, multiple apps, multiple conversations at once.
The iPad kid all grown up.
In a way, yeah. Their cognitive state is fragmented. They are used to rapid context switching, so a song that changes genre every 30 seconds, it mirrors that.
It's music for a brain that has 20 browser tabs open.
I feel seen. Me too.
It's frantic, but it's a familiar kind of frantic.
And there's also the idea of the online nation. The source makes an interesting point that this genre doesn't really have a country. I mean, sure, 100 Jecks are American, PC music is British, but the true location of glitchcore is online.
A borderless community defined by connection speed, not geography.
Precisely. If you have a laptop and an internet connection, you are part of the scene. And that accessibility is driving where this goes next, because this isn't staying underground.
That's the final piece of the puzzle, the future. We are seeing this bleed into the mainstream, especially with the sped-up culture on TikTok.
Oh yeah, the sped-up version trend.
It's inescapable. Every hit song now has an official remix that is just faster.
Usually sped up by about 150%. And think about what that does. It raises the pitch making, the vocals sound like chipmunks, and it increases the tempo.
It basically turns every pop song into glitchcore light.
Exactly. The mainstream audience has been conditioned by TikTok to enjoy these aesthetics. Glitchcore was doing this 5 years ago. Now, it's the default format for viral success.
And then you add AI to the mix.
This is where it gets really sci-fi. We're seeing AI voice generation everywhere. But AI often has these little artifacts, imperfections, unnatural pitch jitters, weird breath sounds.
In a jazz recording, those would be mistakes you'd edit out.
But in glitchcore, they fit perfectly. The genre already loves non-human or post-human sounds. AI integration fits the ethos perfectly.
So, the source asks a big question. Is broken pop becoming standardized?
And the answer seems to be yes. Glitch is becoming a standard tool in the pop producer's toolkit. You hear these stutter edits and distortions and chart-topping hits now. It's not just for the internet kids anymore.
So the glitch is the new normal. We aren't going back to slow and steady.
As we move into an AI-driven era, the overload sound will likely accelerate. The very definition of a clean recording is changing. We might look back at the polished pop of the 2010s as this weird historical anomaly where things were too perfect.
That's a wild thought. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. From the skipping CDs of the 90s art scene to the hyperspeed chaos of 100 jacks and the AI future.
It's a lot to process, but if you take one thing away from this, it should be that glitchcore is more than just annoying noise. It really is the sound of the digital age. It represents the speed, the fragmentation, and the sheer information overload of modern life.
It's the soundtrack to our 20 open tabs reality. And even if you find it jarring or it makes you feel like you need to lie down in a dark, quiet room, it's important to realize this is likely how the future of pop production evolves.
It challenges us to find the melody in the malfunction. It asks us to accept the error as part of the beauty.
Which leaves us with one final thought to mull over. If glitchcore is the sound of a broken screen or a system error, what does it say about us that we now find the sound of failure catchy, comforting, and danceable?
Is the glitch no longer an error, but the new default setting for reality?
That is something to think about the next time your playlist skips. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you on the next one.